First thing we will be covering what is plagiarism and how to avoid plagiarism. There are around 4 ways of avoiding plagiarism. I will show you a video today. Okay, so there will be a 6-minute video that I will share with you. Just let me know if you are able to hear that when I start. Okay, can you see it? A green screen should be there as of now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is
Yes.
visible. How to avoid plagiarism.
This lesson is on how to avoid plagiarism.
Is it audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
perfect.
audible.
Yes, it is audible.
We will start now.
Here's the definition of plagiarism. It is using someone else's words or ideas as your own. It doesn't matter if you intend to use the words or if you accidentally use the words. If you use someone else's work, it's still plagiarism.
You understood this part, right? I think this is a very important point that she makes that everyone faces. Okay, either intentionally or accidentally. So it is possible that you read 2 or 3 articles and then you start writing it in your own words. But at the end, what you do is writing exactly or maybe similar to what you have read, and accidentally you plagiarize. Okay, we'll proceed.
Here's an example of a student committing plagiarism. You see that the words that are black are exactly the same as those black words in the original. And the pink words are the students' different words that they used, but they're almost the same. And the grammar is exactly the same as the original source. And remember, the reason why this is plagiarism is because the student is pretending these are his own words. He did not cite his source, even though he obviously took from this source on the left.
Okay, one thing that you understand from the sentence that she says is that copying is not plagiarism. Copying without giving proper credit amounts to plagiarism. Okay, so whenever you use a software, there will be always a similarity check and plagiarism test. Okay, similarity shows similar articles or similar sentences, but if it is duly given credit, it means there is no plagiarism. Okay.
So now we're going to talk about some ways to prevent plagiarism. First of all, you have to put quotation marks around any words that you borrow from another source. Then you have to use in-text citations. That means you give credit to your source. You say where you got those words that you borrowed. So let's look at an example. This is the first way that you can prevent plagiarism when you're...
Okay, so now we have done with plagiarism. What is plagiarism? What is similarity? Okay, now she will be explaining different ways of avoiding plagiarism. Okay, so this is first way. Listen properly. You can take notes of the exact words. Like this mode is called direct quote with attribution. Okay, you can see it in the top. You can take notes of these and you can understand it properly. Okay, and if you don't understand,
Ashish, could you please play the last slide?
Yeah, sure. This one, right?
Use quotation. I think no, last one.
Okay.
Hi, that one.
I'll start.
Yes, sure.
The student is pretending these are his own words. He did not cite his source. Ways to prevent plagiarism. First of all, you have to put quotation marks around any words that you borrow from another source. Then you have to use in-text citations. That means you give credit to your source. You say where you got those words that you borrowed. So let's look at an example. This is the first way that you can prevent plagiarism when you're borrowing words from another source. You can use a direct quote with attribution. Take a moment to read this. Pause the video if you need more time. Over here on the left, you can see the source information. Gregory Twachman is the author of those words on the left. So when the student uses this information in his essay, he chooses here to use attribution. Attribution just means using the author's name in the sentence or saying where the source comes from. And notice that after the attribution, we have the quote. And notice that the quoted words are exactly the same, and we put quotation marks around them. Now it's very clear that these are not the student's words. They come from another source, and it's clear to see what that source is because of the attribution. Now the student is not plagiarizing. The second way to
Okay, did you understand the first way?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But sir, it is also count as a plagiarism.
I did not. Are you saying that even a quotation counts as plagiarized content? That's what you're
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
saying? Okay. So, like I said, there's a difference between similarity and plagiarism. Okay. So, when you give something in quotation, it will be found as similar because obviously the fact that it is in quotation, it means that it is taken from somewhere else. Okay. Now, it is the duty of the journals to ignore that part. If I may take an example of a software like Turnitin, okay. I don't know if you have used Turnitin, like not as a student, but as an author. So like I have used Turnitin, okay. So there are ways you can decide how to check. I can switch on the quotations, I can switch off the quotations. So if I switch off the quotations will be excluded from plagiarism test automatically, okay. So it is the duty of the journals to first do a check with the quotations off, then do a check with quotations on, okay. If your article has so many quotations that the plagiarism amount or similarity amount crosses like 10% or 20%, then it becomes plagiarized. Because you can obviously quote, but it does not mean that out of 4 pages of article, you will quote 2 pages. You understand that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll proceed with the second way.
prevent plagiarizing when using someone else. Now the student is not plagiarizing. The second way to prevent plagiarizing when using someone else's words is to use a direct quote but without attribution. And that's what this student does. The student does not mention the author's name in the sentence. See if you can tell what they did. Take a minute to read, and you can pause the video if you need to. The student still put quotation marks around all of the part that is borrowed from the original source. But instead of using attribution, that means instead of introducing the author in the sentence, the student put the in-text citation at the end of the sentence. And notice here it's in parentheses and it goes before the period. This is also a correct way to give credit to the other source. So here the student is not plagiarizing either. This is the third solution to
Okay, any problem with the second solution? Any word that you did not understand or any part?
No, sir.
No, it's absolutely fine.
Perfect. Great. We'll proceed with the third way, okay?
to give credit to the other source. So here the student is not plagiarizing either. This is the third solution to plagiarizing. This is the third choice that you have as a way to avoid plagiarism. Take a minute to read this and see what the student did. You can pause the video if you need to. Here the student used attribution again. So he mentions the writer's name in his sentence, but this time there's no quotation marks. That's because the student used paraphrase. paraphrase means to change the words and grammar, but not change the meaning. So the student used his own words and grammar to repeat the idea of the source. But when the student does that, he still has to give credit to the original source. The student cannot pretend that this was his idea because he got it from another source. So he uses attribution to give credit to that source. Again, this student is not plagiarizing. This is a correct use of another source.
Okay. Any problem with the third one?
No,
No, sir.
No.
Okay. And one thing, guys, if you have any doubt in between the video, okay, text it to Asta. Okay. Whenever I move my mouse, the pointer, because of that, the video interrupts. Okay. So for now, just text it to Asta. Okay. Or you can unmute yourself and interrupt me. I'll pause the video. Okay. Okay. Let's see the fourth way.
And here's the fourth option. Pause the video while you read this. As we said, this is without attribution. So the student gives credit to the original source at the end of the sentence. This is a paraphrase, so there are no quotation marks. And notice that the grammar and vocabulary are mostly different. That makes this a paraphrase. And the student used the in-text citation at the end of the sentence instead of using attribution. This is a correct way to give credit to the original source. Now let me say one more thing about paraphrasing. You probably noticed that there are some words here that
Listen to this part very clearly. Okay, it will explain you what is the difference between an allowed plagiarism, paraphrasing and not allowed paraphrasing.
correct way to give credit to the original source. Now let me say one more thing about paraphrasing. You probably noticed that there are some words here that are exactly the same as the original source. The rule is that in your paraphrase, it's okay to have a word or two that are the same as the original source. You just cannot have more than 3 words that are the same. If you have more than 3 words that are the same, then you need to use quotation marks. Just like everything else with writing, it takes practice to know how to use an in-text citation, but it's very important that you do this so that you don't get into trouble with plagiarism.
Okay.
Ashish, I have a doubt. What I was asking was like American Bar Association. So like only these 3 words can be like, I mean, will this be considered like one word or like 3 different words?
Acha, okay, like that. No, if it is the name of an organization, it will not be considered as 3 words. Okay, it will be considered
Alright.
as 1 word.
Okay, thank you.
If it is an
Ashish,
abbreviation, yes.
no, please continue. I'll just wait until you're finished.
No, it's just that, like, if it is the name of the organization or an abbreviation, then it will not amount to 2 words, 3 words, or 4 words. It will amount to 1 word. Okay.
My question is that what if you're paraphrasing something with only technical terms? So you can't exactly paraphrase technical terms, you would have to use them as it is.
Yes.
So you would have to use only direct quotation in that case, I'm guessing.
Okay, yes, exactly. So, like, for example, I have read papers where people change the words such as Supreme Court or Apex Court to Zenith Court. Okay. So Zenith may mean apex or supreme, but it cannot be used legally. Okay, just because the meanings are same, it is not allowed. Like you said, it is a technical term. Okay, so in that case, you either have to use a direct quotation, like in a double quote. Okay, or you have to basically change the entire sentence if it is possible. Like you saw in the video that two words are usually similar. Okay, so if it is possible, completely change the entire sentence. Okay, like paraphrasing basically does not mean that out of 10 words you have to paraphrase like 6 words. You can also paraphrase 8 words if that is possible. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Hello,
So now, yes,
Ashish.
yes,
You will play that last slide again.
yeah, sure. This one, right?
instead of using attribution. This is a correct way to give credit to the original source. Now let me say one more thing about paraphrasing. You probably noticed that there are some words here that are exactly the same as the original source. The rule is that in your paraphrase, it's okay to have a word or two that are the same as the original source. You just cannot have more than 3 words that are the same. If you have more than 3 words that are the same, then you need to use quotation marks. Just like everything else with writing, it takes practice to know how to use an in-text citation.
Was that it, Vaibhavi?
Yes, yes. That means like more than 3 we can't use.
More than 3 words together you cannot use without quotation. That amounts to plagiarism.
Okay, okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, even in paraphrasing.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll stop this now. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
I'm
Hetal.
still confused with the third and the fourth method of plagiarism.
Okay, so third one, can someone mention me what are the 4 ways first? Hetal, why don't you go? Did
I
you hear
don't
all
know.
the 4?
No, I actually joined late, so I
Acha,
missed
okay.
first 3. I
Okay,
missed
anyone else?
midway.
Yeah, so anyone else can tell us what are the 4 ways?
Can
So
I?
Yeah, sure, Muskan.
Yeah. First one is like direct quotation with attribution,
Okay,
and second is direct quotation without attribution,
okay,
and paraphrase with attribution and paraphrase without attribution. Yes.
okay, fine. So now, basically there are 2 things. Okay, one is attribution, other is in-text citation. Okay. Wait, I will share now. This will be a whiteboard. I'll just write few things. Okay. I'm not sure if you understand in text. So many times she has been saying. Okay, it is in text citations. Okay. So one is paraphrasing, one is attribution. Okay. Attribution, I'm sure everyone knows. And the other is in text citations. Okay. Attribution means mentioning the name of the author without the brackets. Okay, so when she says parentheses are these. Okay, these brackets are called parentheses. Okay, so when you do not mention the name of the author in brackets, it means that you are giving him attribution. For example, when you say such as Donald Trump says this, and then you mention it either in quotes or outside quotes, does not matter. But if you are saying that Donald Trump says this, it means that you are saying that it is the words of Donald Trump and not your. This is called attribution. Okay. But yes, in text citation basically is little different and it is more elaborative, and I will teach you how to give in text citation. So leave that for now. Okay. Now, Hetal, let's come to your question. You did not understand paraphrasing with attribution and paraphrasing with in-text citation, right?
Right.
So first of all, paraphrasing and direct quotation are 2 basically different ways. In direct quotation, you keep the exact statement how it is. Okay. Since you are giving double quotes, no one is expecting you to change it, and you should actually not change it also. Okay. Direct quote means same to same. Paraphrase means changing the statement into your own word while keeping the meaning intact. Okay. Can anyone give me a statement? Like think for a minute and give me a statement and then paraphrase your own statement without changing the meaning. Anyone? And guys, you can switch on your video now. I mean, the video is over. All the rest of the part that I'll be sharing will not be a video. So you can switch on your videos now. It will be easier. Yes, anyone. Vaibhavi, do you want to frame a sentence? Any statement? You can take some time, not a problem. It is always easier to understand with examples.
So may
Vaibhav?
I?
Yes, sure.
So my name is Vaibhav.
Yeah.
And I am Vaibhav.
Okay, fine. That is fine. My name is Vaibhav. I am Vaibhav. Okay, so did you understand? Like it was a very easy example. Okay. Let us take example of a quotation. Okay, a famous quotation. Okay. So can anyone give me a quotation, a good quotation that everyone knows?
Hello.
Yeah. Vaibhav.
Justice delayed is justice denied.
Yeah, fine. Justice delayed is justice denied. Now paraphrase it. Try to paraphrase it without changing the meaning. You can do that, or anyone else can do that. Justice delayed is justice denied.
It is said that if justice is delayed, then it means that justice will be denied.
Yeah, fine. I mean, it
Try.
is like kind of paraphrasing. Okay.
Yeah.
There are different ways, obviously, but as long as you do not use more than 3 words put together, it is paraphrasing.
So, but
Okay.
what if the
Now,
words
what
are
Asha-
repeated?
Yes, no, you see, words will always be repeated. Okay, justice delayed is justice denied. You will repeat justice, delayed, and denied. These 3 are the keywords. All you have to do is not put them together. Rest, you can change everything. Okay. For example, if you delay justice, it will amount to denial of justice. Okay. So you have changed denied to denial. So it means it will never be caught in plagiarism, and you have not changed the meaning as well. So you can start working on it and basically work on like change the meanings from adjectives to nouns, from abstract nouns to adjectives. Okay.
Is it
And
possible? Sorry.
yes.
May I? Is it
Yeah, sure.
possible to state it like you won't get justice if you delay it, or if something like that?
Yeah, okay, so I got it, but see, it is possible,
What
but
really
what you
was-
said is like a confirmative statement. Okay, justice delayed is justice denied. Okay, it does not necessarily mean that it will always be happen in every scenario. Okay,
Right.
but when you say that you won't get justice, it means that you will definitely not get justice if it is delayed. Okay.
So instead of
But
won't,
yes,
it
you
should
can
be
say it
may.
like that, like you will basically you can say it like this, like your justice will be denied if it is delayed.
Yeah,
Okay.
or maybe your justice may be delayed.
Yes,
May be denied
exactly.
if
Your
it is
justice may
delayed.
be delayed. Yes, your justice may be denied, or it may amount to denial of justice if it is delayed. Okay.
We can use different synonyms in that also, right?
Yes, you
It's
can
just
use synonyms.
like if we
So
hold the justice will get denied.
yes, exactly. So that's what I was going to say. Now, in this case, suppose you cannot change the word justice. Like Asha was talking about technical terms. Okay. Maybe you cannot change the word justice, but rest all the words you can change actually, because you can change it deny, you can change it delay, because there are synonyms for that. Okay.
Can we use this line?
Yes, Avaljo?
Denial of justice leads to delay in justice.
No, I think you said it the other way around.
Sorry, yes.
Delaying of justice leads to denial of justice. Yes,
We can
exactly.
use
You can say
synonyms
that.
of different words.
Yes, exactly. You can use synonyms or different words. Just do not change the technical terms. Technical terms are like legal terminologies. Okay. And there are no specific definitions of what amounts to a technical term or a legal terminology. But there is only one simple way to understand something that you will not understand when it is said in a common use or a common parlance. For example, if I say you, in the case of this and this, the Zenith court held this. Okay, so you will not understand what the hell is Zenith court. Okay, so it means that it is a Supreme Court or an apex court is a technical term. It is used by the Supreme Court itself, but Zenith you cannot use. Similarly, justice is fine, but I don't know any synonym of justice. How can you use it? But yeah, some people do use like equity with justice, but these are simply different terms. But even if you find a synonym of justice, you cannot change it. Okay. Okay. Anyone has
Hello?
any more questions? Asta, are there questions? Yes, Dakshita.
Good evening, sir. So my question was, how many times we can use the quoted phrases in our journal? Is there any limit we can use the same?
See, basically there is no specific limit. Okay, how many times or how many words you can quote. It always depends on a number of factors. First of all, the size of your paper, the total number of words. Because if you are writing 100 words and you are quoting 20 words, it amounts to 20% plagiarism. If your article is 200 words and you are quoting same 20 words, then it will be 10% plagiarism. Did you understand?
Yes.
So 20 out of 100 is more, whereas 20 out of 200 is less. So it always depends first of all on the size of your own paper. Next, it depends on the size of the quotation. Like there can be small, if there are large quotations, big quotations, it is always suggested to paraphrase them. Don't use them exactly how it is. Okay. For example, Bare Act provisions. Bare Act provisions do get caught in plagiarism. Do not use the provisions. This is basically this is most of the reasons why a lot of legal papers get rejected. What you do, according to this section, you copy paste the entire section, and then you again explain the section. So the entire section, maybe it can be for 100 words, 150 words. You do not think of removing it because according to you, it is very important. But it is exact word to word of the Bare Act, which is easily available on the internet. So do not copy the Bare Act sections or the provisions. Okay. Simply start explaining that. According to section this, it is mentioned. Do not copy paste. Okay.
And if I take anything from UN report, for example, any statement on human rights, for suppose. So how should I start? Like according to the UN report, UNHCR mentions this. Should I start like this,
See,
or
like yeah. Go ahead.
or I should just simply like according to UN, like directly mention my point, what I want to quote.
See, if you are asking like whether you should mention the facts or directly start analyzing the facts, you can skip mentioning the fact as long as in the analysis you mention it properly. Okay. So suppose instead of saying that according to UN analysis, 1% have committed murder, 2% have committed rape, 3% have committed this and that. Okay. Instead of doing that, you can also do like this. According to the analysis of UN report, 1% have committed rape. According to this, it means that this. Okay. You can analyze it side by side with the facts. So it will reduce the number of words coming together. Okay. Any kind of software, plagiarism software always catches those words which are kept together. More than 3 words, like I said. Turnitin is the best software. If more than 3, like even 4 words are kept together, even if you use a synonym that is similar, but 4 or more words are kept together, it will catch it. Okay. It will know that you are using the same texts. In that case, you have to paraphrase. You cannot simply use like 8 words exactly, only use 1 or 2 synonyms. You cannot do that. Okay. So you have to change the meaning. You have to change the words basically, keeping the meaning intact.
Okay, and one more question. While analyzing my own view on that particular point which UN report mentioned, should I give? Should I mention in the citation like I have taken from UN report? Here this.
We will reach how to cite. Don't worry about that. Like how to give a footnote, how to write a citation, and what to write in a citation. We are reaching to that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Ashia, do you have a question?
Yeah, Ashish, I had another question. Okay.
Just a second. Yeah. Yes, Ashish.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
So you mentioned that we are not supposed, like we should not directly copy paste the provision sections from the Bare Acts. But generally, I've read certain journals, certain articles in which they directly copy paste the sections in the citation. So like, what is supposed to be done? If I'm talking about certain sections, so whether I should copy paste, like if it's anything, so I should explain it in the citation. Like, how should I do it?
No. Don't explain it in the citation. Most of the 99% of the journals do not allow speaking footnotes. Okay. These are called speaking footnotes when you start explaining in the footnote or the citation. Okay. These are not allowed. So don't do that. And with respect to whether you should mention the section or not, see, suppose you are doing an analysis of section 15 of Juvenile Justice Act. It becomes very essential that you mention the provision exactly. Okay. So 1 second, the purpose of not mentioning the provision is just to not get caught in plagiarism. Okay. You know that you have copied the Bare Act and it does not amount to plagiarism technically because all the government websites and government information is available for public and you can actually copy it. Okay. But when you are giving an article of 40 pages or 30 pages, the journal will actually not go and look into it like out of 50% plagiarism, which plagiarism is valid and which plagiarism is invalid. So if you have to use provisions exactly, always keep in mind the total number of words that you are using. So if your article is for around 10,000 words, it is not a problem if you are mentioning 2 or 3 provisions which will amount in total to 100 or 150 words. Okay, it will be like 1% of the entire article, so it is okay. If you are writing an article where you know you have to mention 1 or 2 provisions for sure, then mention the provisions. In return, try not to use quotations a lot, or maybe do not copy from other sources, try to paraphrase them in return. Okay, so it's like a trade-off. If you want to use something, you have to give up something to make sure that the entire plagiarism percentage do not go up. Okay, yes, Asha.
So basically, it's again related to the question that you just answered.
Okay.
What if I'm criticizing a particular section of some BEAR Act? Like, say, for example, I'm criticizing the definition of sexual harassment from the Sexual Harassment Act. I want to say that it's not inclusive definition, meaning that it's left out certain things, or it's not a comprehensive definition. In such cases, shouldn't I mention the entire definition as is to show that this is the lacuna in it?
Okay. See, so like I said, you can definitely mention in these types of articles, you will actually have to mention the section, okay, the provisions, maybe several times as well. Okay, maybe suppose at the beginning you will start with the definition of sexual harassment, and maybe after 2 or 3 paragraphs, again you will have to mention few words in quote, like this is the part that I'll be analyzing now. This is the part that I'm analyzing now. Okay, so once again, if you are using such type of quotations, or if you are sure that you are writing an article where you will have to use a section, then write most of the part on your own, or paraphrase the parts. Do not rely on sources, or basically rely on sources. Do not copy paste from other sources, so that the complete paraphrase and complete plagiarism percentage remains low. Okay.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
there are different ways of writing different types of paper. So it always works like that. Okay.
I
Okay.
have a question.
Thank you.
Yes.
If we put the provisions as into the footnotes, will that also amount to plagiarism?
The provision as in the entire no, you cannot do that. Like that also amounts to speaking footnotes. I will show you basically how the footnotes are allowed. Okay, the next thing that we are going to do is learn what is in-text citation and how to put in-text citation and the footnotes. Okay, so when you learn the valid way of footnoting, you will understand this is not allowed. Okay,
Thanks.
so should we begin? Anyone
Sir-
knows what is in-text citation? Achha, yes. Who is that?
Vidhi.
Yeah, Vidhi.
Sir, you were talking about BEAR Act sections. So, don't you think BEAR Act sections, the way they are written, they are the almost towards the perfect language they use?
Yes, I mean, I did not get the question. Are you saying that if you use that, it will not get caught in plagiarism because it is different?
No. I'm just asking that you are saying that we should not quote them, right? We should paraphrase them.
No,
So
don't. No, you cannot paraphrase the BEAR Act sections. You can either quote them if it is necessary, or don't mention them at all, explain them. For example, I'll give you example 2E of Contracts Act. It says that agreement, okay, it defines like what is a contract. An agreement enforceable by law is a contract. Okay, do not quote them, mention it like this. According to section E, an agreement amounts to contract if it is lawfully valid, or an agreement amounts to a contract after all the legal requirements are duly fulfilled. Did you understand?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Do not paraphrase the provisions. Okay, it will actually become illegal. You cannot change the law. Okay. Okay, so now we'll proceed to in-text citation. How many of you know how to give an in-text citation in a word?
Ashish, we have a question from Janvi. She is asking, if we give the citation for the provision, will it also be called plagiarism?
No. So, okay. So once again, see, if you are citing any text or first of all, so you have to cite. Okay. If you are using a BEAR Act provision or any document, any word from any article, you have to cite or you have to give an attribution. In case of provisions, you cannot give attribution. You cannot say that according to this act passed by Government of India. You cannot do that. You have to cite it. That is mandatory. Okay. Even if you cite, if the total plagiarism percentage exceeds the allowed limit, the journal is not going to go and check like, is there a genuine mistake, or it was a coincidence, or it was okay. Did you understand that? So it is always mandated that you as an author always remain vigilant, that whatever you are writing, if you are actually copy pasting, keep in mind that I have copied 100 words so far and I have written 2000 words so far. So this is my limit that I have crossed. Like out of, if you are copying 100 words out of 2000 words, it means 5% I have copied. In the remaining article, I should not exceed more than 5%, so that till the end it remains 10%. Okay. And always remember, you always know what you have copied and what you have not copied. So keep a track of that. It is not difficult and it is the correct way. Okay. Whatever you have copied in the word, if you select the part, it always shows the word count. Keep noting that down. This is the only way to know plagiarism. There are no ways of checking out whether your content is plagiarized or not. Okay. If you are, like I have said it repeatedly, if you are using free softwares, do not use free softwares. Free softwares record your contents, they keep it in their database, and it might be available on web during with a passage of time. Okay, so do not use free softwares. Always trust in yourself and send the article to publication. Okay, and Asta, if there are questions, we will take those in the next, okay, in the later sessions, okay, or maybe at the end. Okay,
all right.
I'll show them the in-text citation format. Okay, can you see this Word document?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So can you see this part? Have you seen this before in any book or article, this part?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, so this is called in-text citation. Okay, now this, generally speaking, this I have simply typed it. Okay, this is not a citation, but this is how it will look. Now I'll show you how to put it and basically how it will appear. Okay. Now, if you are not well versed with Word, see it now. Okay. Word has a lot of magic for you. Word does everything for you. It makes references, footnotes, endnotes, citations, table of contents, everything. All you have to do is learn it. Okay. I will think about taking session on Word as well. A lot of people do not know about it. Okay. So let's go to citations first. It is always available in the reference tab. Okay. Footnotes, endnotes, citations, everything. Suppose now this part, I have to cite this part. Suppose I have taken this from a book of Mullah. This is the name of the book. Okay. So I have taken it from this book written by Dinshaw Farokzee Mullah, The Key to Indian Practice, a summary of the Code of Civil Procedure, 11th edition, 2015. Okay. Suppose you have to give the citation here. Place the cursor exactly where you want to give the citation. Then move to insert citation. Go to add new source. It will give you a list of everything. You can see, like you can choose book section, journal article, article in a periodical, conference proceedings, and a report. You can choose everything from here. Okay. Since Mullah is a book, we will choose book. Okay. Let's give the name of the author. Okay. You mentioned the name of the author. Then let's write the title. Okay, 2015, if I am not wrong. City, we are not aware and it is not very relevant. It was published by LexisNexis. If you know it, it is okay. If you do not know it, it is also fine. Edition, I have forgotten. I think it was 11th edition. We will check it, and you can basically, while you are writing, you can see whether your writing is right or not. Okay. So one more thing, whenever you write, okay, so like I have reached to the author part. Why? To show you this. You can see examples here. Okay. They will always give you examples. So when I go to author, it will give example of how to write the author's name. This is title. They will give you the title, year, edition. Okay. When you type OK, when you click OK, it will come like this. Now this is not clickable, this is not deletable. If I delete the entire Mullah 2015, everything will be deleted. But if you reach, you can see it like this. Okay. Now whenever you want to see the entire citation, go to manage sources. You can see it here. Okay. That is the other one. Yeah, this one here. Okay. Mullah Adin Shoaib, Introduction to Civil Procedure Code. So this is called within text citation. Anyone understood? Anyone has any problem? Okay. Now one more thing, you can choose. Okay, so like, give me one second, yeah. Can you see this part? So here basically there are a lot of ways. APA, AP Chicago 15th, these different editions. I hope everyone knows that like Blue Book is 19th edition, 20th edition.
Yes, sir.
So Oxford has 4th edition, 5th edition. Okay, they keep changing their footnoting format and citation format. We usually use Harvard because Harvard is the most acceptable, okay, in all the journals. So that's why I am showing you Harvard. Change it to Harvard from here, go to insert citation, mention all the details. If you have mentioned it once, it will give you automatically. If you want to add new source, go to there, add the source and click OK, done. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, okay, so this is in text citation. Okay, next is footnoting. You can see here, I'm sure you have seen this several times, right? Now this is called footnoting. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this is called footnoting. You can do it from your reference page. Now you know it. I showed you insert footnote. Okay. Let me delete it first. Okay. Suppose wherever you want to keep a footnote, suppose here. Okay. You go to insert footnote, click it, and it will take you directly to the bottom of the page. You can see number 1 appears here and number 1 appears here. So this resembles that the number 1 citation can be found in the bottom page numbered 1. Okay. Here you can mention, like suppose we'll copy paste it from here. Yes, Shubhi, you have anything?
Yeah, can you please repeat this footnote 1? How that 1 appeared on the top?
Yeah, sure. Suppose you want to put a footnote here, right? After parties. You place your cursor after parties. Then you go to the reference tab. You can see home tab, insert, page layout. Here is reference tab. Okay. Now this is Word 2007. Yeah, I think this is Word 2007. So it is quite old. It means that the reference tab will be there for Word 2010, 13, 16, everything. Okay. Word changed after 2010, but the reference tab is still intact. Just click on insert footnote. You can see it, right? Click on insert footnote and it will automatically give a footnote here and it will give a reference here. Okay. Suppose later if you want to put another footnote, suppose here, okay, you don't have to number it. It will automatically number it too. Okay. Even if the prior one is blank. Got it?
And we need to copy the citation from references the same way, right, in footnote?
No, so for that we will listen. We'll see what does Harvard Blue Book say. Okay, that I just did to make you understand. Like you copy it from here and paste. Usually you do not do that. You have to follow the procedure. I will share my screen once again. Okay, so this is done. This is how you insert in text citation and footnotes. Did everyone understand?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. One last thing. Suppose you want to put a citation. Okay, in text citation. But at the end, like after doing the entire article, you can do a placeholder. Okay, it means that, see, you can see a placeholder. Just, yeah, you can see add new placeholder here.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you add a placeholder, you can mention name. Suppose placeholder 1, or suppose you know the name of the author, Ashish. Okay, but you don't know the entire book. Maybe you read the book in the library and you are doing the article in your home. Just mention Ashish and okay. So this will remind you that you have to write, you have to complete this citation. Okay, this is called placeholders. Okay. Okay, so this is done. So this was in text citation and how to give footnoting. Now we will learn the procedure of footnoting. Okay. I hope it is not getting boring because we have to learn all this. But yeah, if you want, we can postpone it for tomorrow. Is it okay? Should I continue?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
you
sir.
continue. Very interesting. Yes.
Thank you so much. So I'll start with Blue Book. This is 20th edition. I'm sure Ronak was sharing the 20th edition with you that day. We'll start with the 19th edition. Okay, the 20th edition is the new one. It is acceptable, but still there are a lot of journals who ask for the 19th edition. Okay, so this is the Blue Book 19th edition. Blue Book is given by Harvard. Actually, it is given by Harvard, Yale, and Columbia combined. It is the most acceptable form of citations. If you are using Blue Book, it is not a problem. Even if the journal asks for Oxford, it will not be difficult to change. Okay, so we will do the Harvard Blue Book citation. Now we will see different ways of citing different authorities. Okay, so these are the first general rules, like I said. So I forgot the name, but someone was saying like, what if I mention the entire section in the bottom as a footnote? Okay, so it is not allowed because of these general rules. So I'm sure everyone is aware of these rules, but maybe you did not know that it is given by Harvard itself. Times New Roman, size 10, one line spacing justified. You might be thinking that it is the rule of the journal, but no, it is the rule of Harvard. Okay, it is the rule of Blue Book. Full stop after every footnote. I'm sure no one follows this. Okay, it is also important, but yes, it is ignored. Always write the abbreviated forms of months, and at the end, tables given at the end of, okay, that I'll show you, don't worry. Okay, now let's start with books. How to cite books. So see, this is the rule and these are examples, okay, to understand it clearly. So the rule says first write the volume number. So here the volume number is written, which is 2. If there is no volume number, skip it, like this one. Okay, next is name of the author. Now one thing is very important. Acha, okay, we have rules here, then it's okay, I'll tell you later. Okay, so name of the author, it says name of the author. You can see the N is a little bigger, AME are smaller. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
It might be difficult, but yes, there is a difference. Okay, these are the rules. When you read it, it will be clear. This is called small caps. Okay, so it says that the name of the author must be in small caps. So it is not a mistake, or this is not an illustration. It is how it has to be. The names of the authors must be in small caps. First letter must be capital. Rest of the letters must be smaller but capital. Okay. Title of the book, like you can see the title of the book, History of English Law. Next is page cited. This is how you mention the page cited. Okay, 205 to 06. Now there's a rule for that. You always mention 3 numbers or 4 numbers, but after the hyphen always mention only 2 digits. Okay, suppose it is 1005 to 1006, right? 1005 hyphen 06. Okay, next is editors. If there are editors, there can be editors, there may not be editors. Like in this case, you can see Norman Page. Okay, and name of the editor, actually edition and cited year. So second edition 1911. In this case, there is Norman Page editor, okay, and the publisher and the year, but here there is no edition. So these are the things. Basically, if there is nothing, you can skip it, but this is the format. Okay, let's see the rules. Rules are the most important that you have to keep in mind. Names of the books and authors must always be in small caps. First name must always be written before the surname. So you will see a lot of citations saying that suppose Agarwal Ashish or Agarwal A. That is not allowed by Blue Book. Okay, Blue Book always asks for first name followed by surname. Okay, your name should be how you use it, Ashish Agarwal. Okay, for 2 authors, write both the names separated by and symbol, not A and D. Okay, the symbol and. Okay, there are more rules. Let me scroll down. Yeah.
Ashish, will you share this format or Blue Book?
Yes. I will share both the 19th edition and 20th edition with you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll also share the video, the 6-minute video. It will be easier for you to understand. Okay.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
It will be great.
Anything else? And
Sir?
regarding yes.
No, you carry on.
Regarding Word, if you need help with Word, like putting small caps, citations, footnotes, you can ask that anytime. That is not a problem. Okay. Yes.
So you were saying about editions. So is it only applicable like if we write in Roman numbers, will it be fine, or just numericals?
I think it should be given here.
Numericals.
It's not given. Okay, it is usually always in numericals. Okay, never in Romans. Okay, like you can see here, it's meant actually it should be 2ND. It's a mistake. It will be 2ND. Okay, second edition. So it should always be in numericals, not in Roman numbers. Okay.
Okay.
Even the volumes, like you can see here too. Okay. Now, in case of citing a book that has been edited, write editor or editors, okay, after the name of the editor. If it is translated at the name of the translator, but you should use trans dot, trans dot, okay. Dot signifies that it is incomplete, it is an abbreviated, okay. If both, then write first at editor's name and then translator's name, okay. So these are, I mean, very rare cases, but you should know it. And also I will share it, you don't have to memorize it, so don't worry. I have never memorized it, I have always opened it whenever I need it, okay. This was the very important thing that I wanted to discuss, okay. When there are more than 2 authors, you do not write the name of 3 or more authors. You will find papers with 3, 4, 5 authors name given by star, double star, triple star. This is not allowed by Blue Book. You always mention at all. At all means and others. So suppose Akriti Vikas, Ashish Agarwal and Rishi Nath and Shubhi Agarwal. 4 authors are there. You write Ashish Agarwal et al. Ashish Agarwal and others. Okay. Now next. Do not add P or PP. So we usually write like here you can see, did you see notice that there is no P or PG or P anything, okay. Directly after the name of the book, they started with the page number. Okay, so do not write P or PP for the page numbers or pages, okay. In case a book is being published by more than one publishing house, write the name of the publisher cited after the name of the editor in sentence case. Okay, sentence case basically means the first letter should be capital, rest all small. Let's come to journal article. Okay. Okay, so journal articles, now there are different kinds of journals. Okay, I'll just give you examples from here. I'll share the document so you can read it. If you do not understand, then tell me. Okay. Consecutively, now see, there are different types of journals. Okay, some journals start from page number 1 for every article, for every volume, while there are different journals which continue their page numbers throughout the issues. Okay, so like in this case, Yale Law Journal, okay, you can see it is volume number 73, okay, and the page number is 733. So these are called consecutively paginated journals. Okay, this is how you cite name of the author in normal sentence case, title of the article italicized, journal volume number, abbreviation of journal and page number continuously. Okay, 73 volume number, Yale Law Journal. Okay, so abbreviation of journal, Yale Law Journal. You do not write the entire full form, Yale Law Journal, Yale LJ. Okay, this is the page number on which the journal starts, the volume of that journal starts. Okay, and this is the page that you are referring to. Okay, at the end here. Okay, here. Done. Now this is basic journal. Okay, let's leave non-consecutive, you will understand that. Let's come to newspaper articles. Okay, similar author's name of the news article or the news report, abbreviation of the name of newspaper, these are common. Okay, next is month, date, year or at page number. Okay, so July 15, 1990 at A1. Now A1 is not a way. Basically this is the article, this is the newspaper that gives its page number as A1, A2. Okay, so if the page number is 1, 2, 3, 4, you will mention at 1 or at 2. Okay, next most important thing, online sources. Everyone uses this, but no one knows how to use it. Okay, this is very important, so keep this in mind. Okay, name of the author, Eric Posner. Name of article in italics, more on section 7 of torture convention. Okay, in italics. Institutional owner of domain, for example the Warlock conspiracy. For example, let me give you easy example, iPleaders. Okay, institutional owner of domain. So when you are using ipleaders.com, the owner is iPleaders, so you mention here iPleaders. Okay, then the month, date, year and time, the January 2009. So we usually write accessed on colon January 20. You don't need all this, simply give brackets and mention the entire date and time and at the end the URL. Okay, now there are important rules.
Which date and time? The day I'm writing or the day I accessed it?
No, the day on which you accessed it. Okay, the date and the time at which you accessed it.
But what if I've done my research prior and then I'm just I've just remembered that I'm using the source. but I don't remember the day I have access
Exactly. So
to.
that is why when I was showing the Word document, I told you like there might be situation when you are writing, but you want to cite later. You have to keep note for that. That is why placeholders and footnotes are there. Okay. So suppose you refer this article on July 1st and you want to cite it on July 5th because that is the day you are concluding your article. On July 1st, when you referred it, you have to keep a placeholder or keep a note in your article that on this date you actually referred the article and on this time. Okay. Now see, no one is actually going to check it. Obviously, you can bluff here the date and time. But yeah, sometimes if it is genuine, it is very good. If it is not genuine, then do a smart work. That's what I will say. Okay, do a smart work. If you are submitting article on January 29th and by mistake you have written a date of February 10th, you will get caught. So if you are doing something like that, then do a smarter work. Okay. No one is actually checking
Okay.
it, so that is not a problem. Okay.
So it doesn't imply that you're writing the blog date when it was posted.
No. It implies only the day on which you have accessed it. Okay.
Okay.
Now the rules. Format for time is illustrated. That is fine. Basically, it is saying that use the AM PM format. Do not use the 24 hours format. Suppose if you are using it on 5 p.m. You have accessed it on 5 p.m. Right? 5 p.m. Do not write 1700 hours. Okay. Next is don't write available. Like I said, we usually write available at or accessed on like this. Do not write all this. Simply copy paste the URL. Okay. Last, this is important. Write the entire URL. Do not write www.voloc.com. Okay. Always write HTTP, all this entire. Okay. Always copy the URL and then paste it. Don't go and type HTTP://. Okay. Copy and paste. And this part is important. Remove the hyperlink. Okay. So when you write, suppose I cannot share it now. Okay. So when you write anything, okay. Suppose www.google.com. When you give a space or a full stop, it will turn into a blue color. Okay, it becomes a hyperlink. It means when you click it, you will actually go to the website. You have to go and remove the hyperlink from that part. Okay. Now let's come to case laws. Okay, leave US case laws. Let's come to Indian case laws. You already know how to cite it. There is not a lot of difference. Just listen to the rules. Do not italicize the case name. Okay, keep it as it is. Sharon Lal Sahu versus Union Carbide Corporation. Okay, do not italicize the name of the case. If there are more than one parties, list only the first party. So when we say ADM Jabalpur and other, okay, so only mention Jabalpur versus Shukla. You can also skip Jabalpur and others. You can leave others. You can write Jabalpur versus Shukla. Okay, not a problem. Last, italicize the procedural phrases. For example, in re or ex parte. If there is any case, I don't think there is example here. Okay, so you know cases such as in re or ex parte. Ex parte you might not have come across. These are civil cases, but in re is very common. In re basically means presidential reference cases. Okay, so if it is in re, then italicize the part. Okay. Now statutes. This is what you are asking. Can we copy the entire statute? No. Basically, let me come to Indian part. You will understand better. Yeah. So they are giving an example of Copyright Act. Okay. So this is how you do it. Name of the act. I'm sorry. Act number. Acts of Parliament. This is basically the Acts of Parliament means if it is Indian statute, it will be Acts of Parliament. If it is of a state, okay. Of a state, suppose law of a UP, okay, any state law of UP, it will not be acts of parliament, okay, it will become state legislature laws or UP state legislature laws, okay, the year of passing, and at the end India, you can avoid India if the name says, for example, Indian Penal Code, then you don't have to mention India, it is automatic, okay. Let's look at the rules. Okay, there are no they have given example from Constitution. This is how you cite Indian Constitution. Remember this. This is very important. Simple. India, CO and ST and once again dot. Dot always signifies that it is an abbreviation. You write article in short. ART all in small. Nothing in caps. Okay. Article 1, clause 2. Done. Now this is the most important part. We use it the most and we know about it the least. Okay. what is ID, supra, infra, IBID, everything. Okay. So this is done. Now anyone can tell me what is the meaning of ID and supra?
Supra is just that we repeated it just a step forward. Like backward, we just use it and we are using it again. So we will write supra.
Okay. And what is ID or IBID?
IBID is we used it somewhere in the research paper and we are using it again. It's not just a step backward.
Have you heard about infra?
No.
Okay, we'll learn that also. Anyone else wants to add anything? No one? Okay. So, Somdipta, you want to add something?
Yeah, means will this last bit, that is effectively the way you explained the blue book,
yes.
Means I think that went at a fast pace.
Okay.
If you do not mind, I think you had scheduled it for tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
would it be possible for you
I was going to say that like we will discuss the 20th edition tomorrow because you have exceeded a lot of time. And I know it is very important. No one wants to miss. That's why no one is leaving. But I don't want anyone to sleep. Okay. So we will do the 19th edition tomorrow again. And we will do the 20th edition.
Ashish,
Yes, and a bit of word also, please, that you have taught us.
Yeah, sure. Yes, Asta.
Yeah, we have two questions. Janvi is asking, if we give the citation for the provision, will it also be called plagiarism? Achha, sorry, I think I've asked this one.
Yeah.
Arshia is asking, please show how to remove hyperlink.
Acha, okay, fine. Okay, I'll show that. And before that, just before that, Shubhi, what did you ask? I forgot. Acha, no, you answered. Okay, I was telling the supra and ID. Okay. Sorry, Subhi, what you said is exactly the other way around. Okay. So ID or IBID are the same things. Okay. So ID and IBID is used to signify that the source was used immediately before that. Okay. So suppose there are 10 footnotes. Footnote number 6 says ID. It means that footnote number 5 and footnote number 6 are same. Okay. So immediately before, that is ID or IBID. Next is supra. Supra exactly means what you said for ID. Supra means you have used this source somewhere in the article before. Okay. So just a second. Yeah. So that's why we mention this when you cite supra. Supra note 3. So this is the number of the note where you have mentioned it before. Whereas in the case of ID, we do not mention the note number. Why? Because ID is exactly the immediate footnote. Okay. The immediate preceding footnote. In supra, we mention note number. Suppose in footnote number 20, you are writing the same citation, which was used in footnote number 2. So you will write like this. Okay. In number 20, you will write supra note 2. So if anyone wants to know the source, they will go to note 2. Okay.
And what's the number ahead of it? It is just the number of the page?
Page number, yes. That is the page number.
Okay.
So it might be possible that suppose footnote number 2 is also Dickens, footnote number 3 is also Dickens, but the page numbers are different. So you can do this as well. Like suppose Dickens, supra note number 2 at 739. So this is the number of the page. Okay. And last thing that I was talking about was infra. Okay. This is rarely used, but yes, it is used. Now this is infra basically means that you have used the same source in further in the article. Okay, so now what is the problem? Why it is rare? Okay, you might ask like, how do you know you have used a source in the further in the article if you have not written the article till now? Okay, so basically infra is used. Suppose you are writing an article. Okay, you are in page number 8. While writing, you find something that you want to add in previous in your article. Okay, something in page number 8 that you have written, but you think that a part of it might be added before. So you go back and add it there. And there you can mention infra note number of the future, that's the further pages of the article. Okay, so that is why you use infra. It is rare, but yeah, it is helpful when you are on page number 20. And again, you want to go to page number 2. there if you want to add something and add the footnote there, and you have to change both the footnotes. Okay, in number 2 you have to write the entire citation, and in number 20 you have to write supra. So instead write at one place infra. It is it. Okay. If no one understood, I'm sorry, I will explain it tomorrow once again. But yeah, that is all for now. And yeah, I will explain how to remove hyperlink. Then I will explain the word part once again tomorrow. Okay. So suppose let me make a hyperlink. Okay. Now when I give a space, you can see it becomes a blue with underline.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a hyperlink. You can see control plus click to follow the link. If I press now, it will take me to google.com. Okay. Now, suppose you want to remove this hyperlink. Simply go there and do a right click. You will see remove hyperlink, copy hyperlink, open hyperlink, everything. Okay. Click on remove hyperlink. It will remain www.google.com, but the blue and the underline will remove, and you cannot click. You can click whatever you want to do. It will not take you to google.com. Okay. So basically journals only want the authority name. They do not want a link to reach there.
Okay.
So any more questions for today?
No, it is very nice.